What's up, guys? This is Not Your Ordinary Barber with N.Y.O Barbershop, back with another podcast. Today we're going to be talking about no-show policies, cancellation policies, how to deal with a customer that's always not showing up for their appointment, how to deal with a customer that is always canceling early, and how to deal with a barber that, I'm sorry, not a barber, how to deal with a customer that doesn't like your cancellation policy or doesn't like your no-show policy. First off, we're going to talk about these booking apps, right? So not only barbers are using booking apps, you got restaurants that are using booking apps for reservations. You have other people that use these apps as well. So let's say, for example, let's say you want to book a studio time. Let's say you're a musician, or you do music and you want to book studio time. A lot of these places use an app or a booking app for you to go ahead and book with them, the time that you want to be there, and the how much time you want, so on and so forth. Same thing with like salons, nail salons, women's hair salons. A lot of people use booking apps, right? In these booking apps, the barber or the person running the app has the option to do what's called a no-show or cancellation policy. They also have the right, not the right, but they also can go in the app, and as a customer, you're trying to book an appointment. They can go in the app and they can set whether you have to leave a deposit based on a percentage, whether you have to pay half of it, 25%, 10%, whatever they have set up, right? Some places, some barbers or some salons, based on the service that you choose, you may have to pay for the whole service before you even book with them. Okay? Now, as a customer, you're going into these apps and you're filling out your information, you're putting your email, you're putting your phone number, whatever the case is, and boom, policy pops up. You have to click the I agree before you go ahead and book your appointment. Sometimes I do it. You got a long policy and something, you don't even read it. Oh, I agree, click next, right? So the app has done its job. It's basically explained to you, look, there's a policy involved with canceling. The barber has a policy, or the salon or the restaurant or whatever the case is has a policy that if you cancel or if you do a no-show, X amount of dollars will be charged. If you're going to book, you have to pay ahead of time. You have to put a credit card in. So all of these things are explained to you before you even book with somebody, right? So let's say you're a barber, for example, that's been cutting for whatever, 10 years. Within those 10 years, you have customers that you've been cutting for just about 10 years as well, right? So let's say, for example, you have a customer that you've been cutting for about 7, 8 years. Just recently, within the past year, out of all this time that he's been coming to you, has been doing no shows, right? Not just once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, maybe 4 times, right? And now, you're getting, as a barber, you're not cutting any hair. There's nobody in your chair. You're not making no money. That person makes an appointment. They don't show up for their appointment. And you're telling other people, look, I'm booked. I can't do it right now. I don't have an open slot. But meanwhile, the person that you're waiting for and you're holding for is because they made an appointment for that time, but they decide not to show up. So as a barber, you're not making money as that, for that hour, that 45 minutes, or that half hour that you could have been cutting somebody. You're also telling customers you can't take care of them. And you're also probably answering text messages from your clientele telling them you don't have any space, right? So I'm gonna use this situation for example. I had this customer I've been cutting for about 7 years. He like I said, within the past year, he maybe about he started doing no shows, right? First no show happened. I didn't charge him because I've been calling him a long time. I figured something happened, whatever the case is, and I just let it slide. He booked again, came for his appointment. I explained to him, "Oh, listen, you made an appointment, you didn't show up. Normally, when people like that, sometimes I charge them for things like that. Try not to do that thing because try not to do a no show because I'm telling people I don't have spots. You don't show up, and I'm holding a spot for you. You know what I'm trying? I'm trying to respect your time." Second time, third time, let's say he tries to book with you in a year, and on the third time, he does a no show. He go Fourth time he does an appointment. You sit him in the chair and you're like, "Look, last time I told you this is my policy. You know what I mean? Like, you can't keep doing this. Um, the app is going to try to charge you. You know what I mean? Don't do it. You know what I mean? So that way I don't miss out on money, and then you don't got to try to scrounge around and shoot me a message. Oh, is there any way you could squeeze me in or whatever the case is, right?" Third time pops around and he does a no show. So you're like, "Yo, like, what the heck?" So I charge him, right? Right. 5 minutes after it goes through in the app, right? After it goes through in the card, all of a sudden I get a text message from the guy. "Oh, I'm sorry I missed the appointment. Any way you can get me in?" "No, unfortunately I'm booked. I do have an open spot tomorrow." "Oh, but the app charged me." "Well, yeah, you did a no-show. It's gonna charge you." "Oh, but did you have to charge me?" "All right, look, take this as a warning, right? The Take this as a warning. I'm gonna refund the money, or no, did I refund the money? No, I didn't even refund the money. I told him, "Look, book your next appointment, and your next appointment I won't charge you for." He booked his next appointment. He came in. I explained to him, "All right, well, you paid last time the no-show fee. Cool, no problem. You came this time. All right, cool. We can't keep doing this." Now, this is the third time I told him, "Yo, we can't keep doing this." He books again. No-show. Fuck. Well, I'm going to charge him. Later on that day, it was actually a no-show on a busy day, dude. It was a Friday at like 2 o'clock or something. I had probably 6 people looking at me. They were in the barbershop as walk-ins. I got people hitting me up on messages. "Oh, snap, you got any room? Can you get me in? Blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Yo, I'm booked." People look at me in the shop. I'm like, "Look, listen, I'm holding a spot. This is the way unfortunately, these people put their credit cards on file, and I got to respect their time. So I can't grab you right now. Let's see what happens if he shows up. If he doesn't show up, then I'll put you in the chair, whatever the case is, right?" So he doesn't show up. Um, 45 minutes go by. He didn't show up. No text message, no nothing. So the app charged, I charged him through the app. Now, I want to say maybe an hour or two later, I get a text message. "Oh, I'm sorry, I overslept again. Blah, blah, blah. Is there any way you can get me in? I really need a haircut." So I explained to him, "Look, I'm really booked, and I have no cancellations, but if I get a cancellation, I'll call you." "Okay, no problem." Another half hour goes by, nothing yet. Like, "No, dude, it's only been a half an hour. Nothing different has happened." Um, so then, after that, he goes on by saying, "Oh, this is messed up. You also charged me $35, which I think is too expensive. I think it's too expensive. You didn't have to do that. That was messed up." I explained to him all the other times and all the warnings and everything I've always told him the past 4 or 5 times, and that this was going to happen for him to, stop doing the no-shows. Then he goes on by saying, "Oh, but I've been a customer for 7 years. How can you do this to me?" So on and so forth. And I explained to him, I go, "Well, the same way you've been a customer to me, you know, I've provided you with a good service for 7 years. Um, I've respected your time for 7 years. I've given you plenty of breaks, and um, if the one time that I charge you and I'm being strict on it, is gonna make you feel a type of way, um, then I'm sorry. I'll refund your money, but please book with somebody else." And I guess he didn't really think of it that way, you know? He didn't see it like, he only saw it through his perspective. So when I broke it down to him and I explained to him that way, then he said, "Oh, I'm sorry," so on and so forth. Just let me know if there's any way I can get you in. I didn't answer back. Um, I didn't block him either on the app. I'll let him go ahead and book another appointment, but I'm not gonna let him do no more no shows. I'm not gonna let him. You understand what I'm trying to say? This is something where the same. If I'm not cutting hair, I'm not making no money. You know what I mean? Yeah, I own a shop. That's something completely separate. I'm talking about as an individual, as a barber. If no one's in my chair and I'm not cutting them, I'm not making no money. So, the same way, you know, you have to restaurants and the same way salons and things like that are charging for, you know, they're charging deposits, they're charging no shows. Barbers are doing the same thing now. You know, a lot of people feel that they can just go ahead and do no shows whenever they want on barbers, that it's okay. A lot of barbers don't get paid by the hour. A lot of barbers don't. Um, a lot of barbers don't get paid by the hour. A lot of times they're holding that spot for you. They're trying to be as punctual as possible for you. They're trying to. Sometimes, man, if they're running behind, they're trying to rush the next haircut so they're not late for your appointment. So not only just this goes out to the customers and barbers as well. you know for the customers, don't think about it only through your eyes and what you see. You also got to understand what a barber goes through when they get a no-show. And barbers, you got to understand that you know sometimes if you do a no-show and you charge them, there's a possibility they may not come back or whatever the case is, or they may not understand why. But if you've been providing a good service for them for a decent amount of time, you've given them several warnings, you have a no-show or cancellation policy in play, um, there should be no reason why a customer shouldn't understand. You know. Anyway, I got a video here. I want to show you guys. We're not the only ones out here in the area. Barbers all over the place dealing with stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, anyway, this here's a video. It's just kind of like someone else's perspective of what happened or how they feel. And let me know what you guys think.
How do you deal with clients that set appointments and don't show up? That's a big issue in the barber community in general. Clients want to set appointments and not show up. So the best thing to do is you have a cancellation or no-show policy on your website, your app, whatever you have. And then when they don't show up, you send them a text message and you'll be like, hey, you missed your appointment, but I do have a no-show policy. So if you do want to book with me again, you are going to have to pay this amount, whatever it is. You are going to have to pay X amount before you can rebook with me. And a lot
See, all right, I get that, but that's something more personal. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't just go ahead and try to do that the first time it's happened, especially with my clientele that I've been cutting for a long time. I would kind of do that personally, like in face to face, and explain that to them. And I probably won't charge you the first time, to be honest with you. But if it's something that's continually happening and it's messing up my books, then yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? You're gonna get charged, bro. You know what I mean? Like that's just what it is.
A lot of times, once you hit people with that no-show or that cancellation policy, that no-show fee, they're gonna start respecting your time. And a lot of times, for whatever reason, people don't respect barbers' times. They think they could just show up when they want or not show up when they have something to do, and they just cancel last minute. So you got to hit them with that no-show or that cancellation policy. That way, they can start respecting your time. And once you hit them with that a couple times, they'll know like, oh, this dude's for real about his schedule. I can't do this no more. How do you deal with clients that set appointments and don't show up? That's a big issue.
Yeah. So basically, it's the same exact thing I'm saying. Basically, it's the same exact thing. You got customers that all over the place that sometimes, like you said, for some reason they feel that they can just do a no show on a barber and it's all good. It's okay. Um, but a lot of people, a lot of barbers are starting to open their eyes to certain things. Um, for a really long time, people or customers did not take barbering as a serious profession. Let me tell you something, man. You got barbers that are doing it within 2 years, making about $100,000 a year. Okay, you got people that go to a 4-year college and they're paying who knows how much their tuition is and don't even make $100,000 a year. You understand what I'm trying to say? Barbering has changed so much within the past 10 years. Um, and I kind of that's one of the things I wish that people would see barbering differently. I wish they would respect it more. I wish even some barbers, I wish they would respect it more as well. But I'm gonna play another video. This guy's name is Ivan Zoot. He's an OG in it. I like to watch him a lot and get some ideas from him. A lot of things he says, I can relate to. But check him out. Let me know what you guys think.
Hey everybody, good morning. Ivan here. Hope you there's all kinds of justifications and behaviors and things like that. But by and large, we have people that for one reason or another make an appointment and no call, no show. And life happens. I realize that emergency situations, although those are few and far between, I think the most common one is a big bucket called I forgot. And people do that. People forget. I forget. I forget a lot of stuff. Forget more stuff than I should. Years ago, I started writing stuff.
All right, real quick. So if you do a cancel, I probably won't even charge you for a cancellation. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going in, you're making the effort to go ahead and cancel. Cool. I can probably, if it's within, a certain amount of time, I can probably get somebody in that spot, right? But if you're just waking up late, or you forgot, um, that's not an excuse, man. You understand what I'm trying to say? First off, the app I use anyway, is gonna send you a reminder 24 hours ahead of time. It's gonna send you a reminder the day of, a few hours ahead before your haircut appointment. And it's gonna remind you about all this stuff. You understand what I'm trying to say? If you do a no-show, right, and then after you're charged, you're calling your barber like, "Oh, why'd you charge me? I woke up late." Like that's not an excuse. You're not a little kid, unless you're a little kid. But most of the time, these are grown men doing this. You know what I'm saying? You're a grown man that can't wake up and you overslept for an appointment that was on a Friday at 2 o'clock. Like that's crazy to me. But anyway, let's get back to the video.
Stuff down. It has helped. Um, but it happens. So um, there's a lot of different ways we can deal with. I do want to address also the fact that now, through some of the online booking apps and the electronic tools that are available for managing client flow times and appointments, there are tools within these tools to deal with this. There are taking deposits from people so that
Yeah.
when they no call, no show, you at least get a little bit of money, and they at least get dinged in the wallet because the only way people's behavior will change is when they experience a little bit of pain. So a $50 haircut appointment with a $10 deposit or a 50% deposit, and you no call, no show it, and I keep your $10 or $25, that's a little bit of pain. That might be enough pain for someone to learn a lesson and modify their behavior next time. There are also people out there that have just a boatload of money, and you know what? I can afford the $10 to inconvenience you in your day, but it's more valuable to me to do what I want to do. I'll eat the 10 spot. So there are those people out there for whom that $10 pain and suffering may not be enough to motivate their behavior. There are also people out there who will believe if you take a $10 deposit on a haircut for a no call, no show, oops, and they do no call, no show, and you do take their $10, there are people that go, well, that's fair. I can live with that. And
That's another thing I want to talk about too. I have a couple customers, dude, that they've done no shows. I don't even know how many times. And they've been charged for it. They pay it with no problem. Book it again because they understand. You know, they're not going to give me the excuse. Oh snap! I woke up late. Oh snap! I forgot. Oh snap! you know, I couldn't get a ride. You know, you guys are booking these appointments based on your schedule. You're booking the appointment based on the time that you want, you know, that you're available to get to the barber shop. You know, the same way the barber, you know, you want the barber to respect your time, you want the barber to be on time. Um, you know, I try to look at it both ways. You know what I'm trying to say? I look at it through the customer's perspective, as if I was the customer myself. You know, sometimes I look at it as, you know, I've seen barbers where they're like, man, I got two people. I'm sorry, I got two people ahead of you. Meanwhile, their appointment was at 1 o'clock. They still got two people ahead of me. Like, that's a little crazy. You know, you don't understand. You know, some barbers don't think that way. You know, like you don't know what the customer had to go through just to get to the barber shop on time to respect your time. You know, but I like to look at it both ways. But you know, you just can't. I mean, it just makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like, how do you not understand that? You know, if you do a no show, the barber's not going to make no money if you're not there, and he don't got nobody in his chair, but yet you want him to hold your spot. You know, yeah, you're gonna get charged, man. You got to understand that. I'm gonna get back to the video.
They'll make another appointment the next time, and either they'll show up or they won't. Um, I don't come by $10 that easy, and I don't know that I would behave that way. But again, everybody's not me. So know that there are tools out there within some of the booking tools to facilitate those things. Now, my point for my system and underlying my system is my belief overall. I believe you cannot charge somebody for a no call, no show. I don't really think you can charge somebody, whether you have their credit card on file or whether you use an app or a system. Many of you know that I have an ongoing business relationship with the folks at Booksy. Booksy has mechanism for this. I don't believe you can charge somebody for a no call, no show and retain them long term as a customer. Yes, as I described already, there are some of those exception customers that'll eat the money. They'll call it the cost of doing business. They feel bad, so they feel good about having thrown you a couple of bucks in that way. But I don't really believe long term relationship, a healthy, interactive business relationship with a customer. I don't believe it can survive or sustain being charged for no call, no show. Based on that simple thought, I don't believe in doing it, and I myself do not do it. I do not charge for no call, no show. And this is the way I work my system, and this is my belief in the policy. I work with what I call, and I think this is across the board a really great way to deal with it because I think it's fair for everybody. It recognizes that we're not going to be abused. We're not going to let people execute antisocial, inappropriate, and unfair behavior. We got to put them on notice. We got to deal with them, and we got to have changes in the future. So my favorite way to deal with no call, no show is 3 strikes. It's real simple. If you no call, no show me once, you get a warning. It's not that complicated. It sounds like this. Dude, you can't do this to me. Dude, what are you doing to me? Dude, you're killing me. Dude, you blew a hole in my book. I can't have that happening. Once time is gone, I can't get it back. That little piece of time that had your name on it, now, between you and me, pull a walk in, you recover some of the time. That's all well and good, but not everybody's business is structured to also have the walk in traffic. I get it. Don't blast me
Which is
for that.
correct.
But once the time is gone, I can't have it back.
You know, you're gonna have times where you know, as a barber, your schedule is so tight, right? Excuse me. Your schedule is so tight that you literally, if one person is late 10 minutes, you're gonna be late 10 minutes on every single haircut, right? Throughout the day. Sometimes your schedule is so tight that, let's say, for example, you do an appointment at 1 o'clock, right? And then you do a no show. Me, the way I have it set up is I'll give you about 15, 20 minutes. Because you know, things happen, traffic, flat tire, you know, whatever the case is, right? So I'm gonna give you 15, 20 minutes before I call it a no show. You know what I mean? Um, so I have it structured at 45 minutes, right? And the reason for that is just because of this. If someone is late or does a no show and they're 15, 20 minutes late on the no show, and they don't show up for 15, 20 minutes, I'm sorry, then I'm going to put it in as a no-show, and that gives me the opportunity, right, to go ahead and say, okay, well, I still got about a half an hour, 25 minutes to go ahead and take care of a walk-in if one comes in. And that's if there's a walk-in, right? It does not give me enough time to text somebody and say, hey, can you be here in the next 30 seconds? You know, no one is that fast. So even if I have my clientele on standby and I get a no-show, it's not like I have enough time to text somebody. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, that's another thing to, as a customer, to keep in mind as well. But let's get back to the video.
Warning. Dude, don't do that again. You just can't do that to me. Strike one. And when you say it, say strike one. People know how
Now
baseball works.
he's giving
Baseball's
you
not
over
a
here. He's
secret.
giving you
This is America.
he's doing 3 strikes. There's times where I've given people 4, 5, which I probably shouldn't have, you know what I mean? But that's just me, like sometimes, some of these people I've been cutting for a really long time, and I like to keep a relationship with them. I don't just want to go because of the third, things happen. You know what I'm trying to say? Um, it's understandable if it was 3 times in a row, but if you've been cutting that person for 5 years and it only happened 3 times in 1 year, I'm not going to cut them off. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's get back to the video.
In America, we play ball. And generally speaking, even grandma, who's not a big baseball fan, knows 3 strikes and you're out. That's kind of a piece of the American lexicon. So we start with strike one. Dude, strike one. You can't blow me off like that. You screwed up my whole day. You cost me money. I love you, man, but you can't do this to me. Strike one. Next time it happens, first one's a warning. Second one's what we call strike two or final warning. Dude, you did it again. Dude, you can't do this to me. Dude, come on. You're blowing a hole in my book. You did this before. I can't have this happening. I'm trying to run a business here. Your baby needs new shoes. The kid's got a college. I mean, we all have our financial pressures. Dude, I know, mom's in the hospital and the kids have soccer practice. I want to be sympathetic to the reality of people's lives. I know what goes on out there.
Of course.
Because I have a life and I have kids and I have a mom and everybody else. But really, you can't do this to me. Strike one, that's your warning. Strike two, final warning. And then we have strike three. Strike three, you're out. Now, what does you're out mean? Strike three means after strike three, what it really translates to is, dude, I love you. You're not allowed to make appointments for 6 months. You're off the books. I'll still cut you as a walk-in. I want you as a customer. I love you very much, but I cannot afford to have you do this to my books. Please understand, if I'm important to you as a hair cutter, we already know you're important to me as a customer.
Yeah.
I want to take care of you. I want to take good care of you. You're making it hard for me to take good care of you.
That's
I
only
love
3
that line.
strikes.
You're making it hard for me to take good care of you. So here's the deal, dude. Walk in. I'd be happy to cut your hair, but I can't have you blow a hole in my book like that anymore. And here's what I do. They're a walk-in for 6 months. 6 months of walk-in behavior. If they stay with you for 6 months, let's face it, if they're a 3-week haircut, that's about...
All right. That's cool what he's saying. I get what he's saying. He didn't want to charge them, so he's going to do a third strike. His third strike is making you a walk-in, right? That's great. But the problem with that is, let's say, for example, that customer has been with you for years, right? For the past 5 years, you're the only one that's cut his hair. He does a walk-in. I'm only by appointment, right? Sometimes, like I said, I book up a week, 2 weeks ahead of time, right? And a walk-in, if let's say, for example, I was to do that and they say, okay, you're going to have to do a walk-in. That means he's going to have to sit with another barber, right? Not every barber cuts hair the same. Some barbers are better, they're more, how do I say this? I'm not saying they're better than others, but some are more knowledgeable in certain things than others. Some are, some don't. So, some people just, not everybody works the same. Everybody, does things differently. So let's say that customer does a walk-in. I can't get them because I'm usually booked every single day. Maybe here and there I'll have a spot or cancellation or whatever, right? So he's going to sit with one of the other barbers in the barbershop. He sits with another barber in the barbershop. And you as a barber, you know, you're putting your client on punishment basically. Like, look, you're punished, you know. And he's gonna sit there and he's gonna sit in the other barber's chair. He's gonna say, okay, normally I like a mid skin fade with whatever, a scissor cut on top or a comb or whatever the case is, right? Now this barber's gonna start to cut his hair a little different because he doesn't cut like you. He may not be as sharp as you. He may be sharper, you know, customer, you know. It opens the door. What I'm trying to say is it's gonna open the door for problems in a way, you know. That customer is gonna kinda let's say he doesn't like the way the other barber is cutting his hair, right? Starts complaining about it. He gets a little upset with the barber, you know, looks at you for guidance. Now, let's say me, for example, me as a shop owner, I got to stop what I'm doing to go over there to make sure that the customer is satisfied. I got to go over there, take time out of, my clients, take time from my client to go over there, give him, help him out, show him what, the exact same way he likes to, his haircut. And hopefully, the barber will do it the same exact way and the customer will leave satisfied, right? But what if they don't? He's going to feel a type of way because one, you're trying to put him on punishment. Two, he's probably going to end up going to another barber shop just to say, you know what, to heck with it. I'm not going to do it. So that may work for some people, but, that's something I don't really agree with. I don't really agree with that.
6 months is 6 times 4 is 24. 8 times, it's like 8 haircuts. If they're a monthly haircut, it's like 6 haircuts. If they're a 6 week haircut, it's like, 6 times 5 ish, 30. That's a bunch of haircuts. If they're willing to stay with you on a walk in basis, they're a good guy or girl, they're a good person. Things happen. They still love you. You still love them. After 6 months, let them go back on the book. Let them go back on the book. I have found that people for whom the 6 month, three strikes rule has to be initiated, some of them go on to be some of your best customers. Some of them go on to be your most timely customers. Some of them go on to be customers who, most of all, respect you and your book and your timing. These people get it. They understand. Some of them go away and never come back. And I think we might all agree that could possibly be declared a good thing or a positive outcome.
Yeah,
That
you're
you
probably
didn't
right.
bounce
Some
them,
are,
you didn't throw them out, you didn't hit them hard in the wallet punitively with a slap on the hand in the form of a deposit kept or a 50% charge for the haircut. Um, I think you did something that was fair to you and fair to them, respectful of you and your business and your boundaries and the way you need to operate. So the three strikes rule: warning, final warning, no more appointments for 6 months. I think that works. I think it's worked for me. I'd be curious to know how it works for some of the folks out there that try it, use it, or institute it. I'd also be curious to hear from people that don't do that, but that do something else as a way of dealing with no call, no shows. And by something else, I mean don't message me or text me to tell me that you charge 50% for no call, no shows. We know there are people out there that do that. We know there are people out there that do that successfully, even though it is contrary or in conflict with my approach to managing that challenge. That doesn't mean it isn't successful for you, but I'd love to hear if there's some other creative approaches out there for ways that people have learned to manage client flow and to manage the challenge. As long as humans have been taking appointments for anything, there have been no
yeah,
call, no shows. They're not going to go away. So we have to accept that they're going to happen. And we have to accept that they're going to happen from good people that can be good long term customers. And what we don't want to do necessarily, there's the few for whom we do, what we don't want to do necessarily is just cut them off and kill the relationship. Because remember, everybody's connected to more everybody's. There's 328 million people in America. There's enough for all of us to cut. But in your area, in your town, and in your neighborhood, there's not enough people to piss people off and put a lot of bad blood out there. Well,
yeah,
I'm Ivan
very
Zoot.
true.
I am Clipper Guy. You are important to me as
Yeah, so yeah, I agree with him, man. You know what I mean? But this is my, my point of view. Um, all right, so put it like this. There's just a couple things I'm gonna say before we we shut it down for the night. There's been times where I've put customers during my lunchtime There's been times where I've done customers after hours. There's been times where, for example, let's say the shop closes at 6. I have a customer that needed a haircut. I would make them the last one. I would make them after we close. So basically, if my last one's at 6, I would take them at 7 o'clock. Um, there's been times where my wife sends me a message throughout the day. Hey, what time are you going to be home? So I can have dinner ready. I say, well, my last one's at 6 o'clock, so I should be home by 7. Throughout the day, I'll get that message from that person. Well, look, I really need a haircut. So you go out of your way to kind of get them into that time. Um, you know, Meanwhile, you got your wife sitting at home at 6 o'clock, almost done with dinner, sending you a message. Hey, dinner's almost done. I'll see you at about 6:37. You send her a message saying, no, I had to take one more. I'll be home at 8. Now she's sitting there at the dinner table eating dinner by herself. Um, I'll put some money on my lunchtime, and instead of me running out to go get some food, somebody will do a no-show on your lunchtime. A lot of people say that time is the one thing you can't get back, um, which I agree with, you know. So this goes out to barbers. This goes out to the customers as well. Try to respect each other's time. Like I said before, time is probably the only thing you can't get back. Um, and just keep it mutual. Try to respect your client's time, and clients try to respect your barber's time as well. That's all I'm gonna say for today. Y'all be safe. Peace.